Hi, welcome back to RPGaDAY, back again with more RPG Day 2025, and late again. Maybe next week will be on time, but I hold out no hope, necessarily, because of all sorts of stuff, work, moving, and so on and so forth. But we're here now, so let's cover the last 5 days that have gone through the 18th through the 22nd of August. Sign, Destiny, Enter, Unexpected, and Ally. I feel like Unexpected Ally could be one in and of itself, but let's see when we get there. Starting off with Sign, we rolled a subject for this and got number 5, which is an accessory. So an accessory that is a sign. Well, that makes it feel like potentially something you've got to look for to uncover maybe a hidden informant or something. Go to this tavern, this bar, and look for the person with the, I don't know, sapphire earrings or something like that. Maybe one of your characters is part of a guild of some kind, a merchant's guild that's, manipulating things in the shadows as to, who gets jobs and things like that. Maybe it's a bit more suspicious out the door, like a thieves guild or an assassin's guild, and everyone has an accessory that only other thieves or assassins or whatever it would be would wear. Maybe a kind of golden brooch of some kind, or something a bit more unique, but still not that peculiar that people would start questioning people who have it, but something that everyone who has it would have a connection to, and you would use as kind of like a symbol of your status, I suppose, a sign. So that could either be a useful character point, I think, or an interesting plot point to try and locate. Maybe it's something that's usually put on the inside of your coat or something, and you have to kind of flash it out to be able to show other people, and so because they're not aware that you need to speak to them, you're trying to get all these people to open their coats, and that could lead to some very interesting antics, I think. For the next day, we have Destiny. Big word, but pretty common word within TTRPG circles, I would certainly say. We've rolled a mood for Destiny, and we've got an 8, which is grateful. A grateful Destiny. That's an interesting one to me, because usually you find Destinies being things that are thrust upon people, and it's an I didn't ask for this situation, but I will either grumble against it and keep doing it, or I will force myself against this. I want my own free will. Or it's, well, I guess as I've been given this thing, I'll do it, but it wasn't my choice to do this. So having a grateful Destiny for character, I think, could be quite interesting. Or even for a villain. Maybe as a child, or an adult, even potentially a child, maybe a bit dark, they prophesized to cause great ruin to the land, and they thought, yeah, nice, awesome, I want to do that. And that just kind of really gave them this motive, that yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what the prophecy said I was supposed to do, and so I'm going to do it, and no one can persuade me otherwise, unless maybe turn out the prophecy is wrong or something. But flip side, likewise, maybe a player character or an NPC ally, I suppose, as well, could have this wish to be able to cure this disease or something, and they pray to this god, and they are told that it is your destiny to cure this, and so that's something that they're like, well, yeah, this is something I'm invested in and I want to cure it, so I'm glad that this is my destiny to cure it. Now, whether that comes with a caveat of you're grateful for now, but maybe down the line, do you cure it in time? Do you have to deal with other problems? Does it make something else work? Or it could just genuinely be a positive of this deity being like, yeah, it's all good, you can cure that could be your destiny. And then they go off and cure it, and it can be a happy time for everyone. Not everything needs to be tragic. But that's a fun one, so you can do some fun things with that. Next up, we have Enter, and we've rolled a question. What do you enter? What do we determine as enter meaning in this situation? Is it entering a competition, a trial, or is it a location? Or is it perhaps a contract or something else? There's a lot of things you can enter into. This is incredibly open-ended, so I think I might roll another. Rolled another mood, we've got enthusiastic again. So now you're enthusiastic to enter. This is definitely feeling like some kind of challenge, I think. that a particular party member might have a stake in. Maybe it's a big music competition that specializes in a certain type of instrument that is one of your bard's favorites, and they really want to go ahead and do that. Maybe it is some kind of magical performance, and you've got a sorcerer or someone who really enjoys doing big, grandiose kind of magic, and they're really up for it. Something like that. Something that makes people enthusiastic to want to do. I think out of like a more specific direction as well, there's certainly an element of how can you make your players enthusiastic to enter your scenarios, your dungeons, your adventures, things like that. What can you do to kind of draw people in? And I feel like I've talked about this actually somewhat in my video on how to make your plots more enticing to your players, and a lot of it I think comes down to involving them in it, not springing it out of nowhere. If you can tie things into people's backstories, that's always useful, or if you can tie it into a broader story that's already going on, that they already have some interest in, and you've got some link of, hey, this thing will connect to this thing, or this thing might connect to this thing. It doesn't necessarily have to, but if you've got that lead there, then a lot of the times that's going to tug at people's, ooh, that could be interesting, the kind of figuring out mindset. If players are more directly involved, then having something that relates to their player, or a player that's a different player in the table that maybe their character has an interest in some way, or connection with, that can work as well. Obviously you can't have everything relate to every player, but if enough of them come up often enough, then that certainly helps. Having NPCs build something up, talk about something beforehand in a few sessions, maybe mentioning this ancient temple that they passed on their way to this town, or that a bunch of guards said they had to go and retrieve a lost child from once, and it was one of the most haunting places they've ever seen. And then a few weeks later, hey, we'd like to commission you to go to this temple place, and suddenly you've got all this history to this place, and all of this kind of build up for it, and maybe the players are even talking about if the party wanted to go investigate it themselves, and now they're almost on their way anyway, and you can just nudge them in our direction. I think that works for that one. Next day we have is unexpected, and we've got a subject of character, an unexpected character. Well, there's some very simple ones for this. You can always do something like, if you're doing a more traditional game, you could have a Duergar, or a Deep Gnome, or a Drow, being a very positive force. Obviously people are Drizzt, but they're usually quite uncommon. That's something I don't quite have as much in my games. Judge everyone by their merit rather than having whole blanket statements kind of thing. But maybe you could have a wizard who is also very much into their study of religion, something which the gods do clearly exist, so there's no reason that you can't have that, but something that seems a bit more unexpected at first glance. You assume that they're all knowledgeable in the arcane, and they have some, but that's not where their main interest lies. Things like that. You could have a bard who does performances, but it's not music or singing. Maybe they use like finger puppetry or something like that, and able to just kind of broadcast it in a much wider area than other people would, so you can see it. That might be a bit too specific, but certainly would be unexpected to have a bard who performs in a way that's still inspiring, but very different to what people usually expect. You do usually need the visual and auditory, I suppose, so maybe that would quite work by itself, but you get the idea. Unexpected can mean so many things. And finally we have ally. Again, an ally can be all kinds of things, so we're going to have to get something a bit more specific, I think. An adventure as an ally, and subject again, I think. Well, if a subject made the most sense here. That makes quite a lot of sense. There's an NPC who needs help with something, and you give them help, and then they're your ally in a simplistic sense. But maybe it's something else. Maybe it is more as part of the adventure, you have to go to a place. Maybe there's this huge ancient tree which is dying because it's becoming infected with this, this parasite or this fungus or something, and it's kind of like alive, but because you're inside this tree, which you're trying to help, it can help you as well. So it's able to do certain like kind of plant-like spells, you know, vine things, thorn stuff. Maybe it has some little bits of like rudimentary natural kind of healing. It's able to help provide you shelter and things like that in times of need. So it's an ally because you're inside this huge tree that's able to provide assistance, but it's also the adventure is to help this giant tree. Yeah, I quite like that as an idea. It's pretty fun. So there we go. That was RPG Day 2025 week number 3. We're getting through it now, nearly there, just a little bit more. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.